Sorry. Well, good morning. It's Marcus, and welcome to another Zooming with In the Jungle Room. We are doing more Adelaide Fringe because it's just about knocking at our door now. It's only a week and a half away. We're going to get started. With me today, though, coming all the way from Sydney, is the delightful Kate Gaul. She's got 2 shows for the Adelaide Fringe, and we're going to find out all about it. Well, hiya, Kate. How are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm good. I'm looking forward to being in Adelaide in 10 days. Whoa.
I am so excited to get you over here because we are like, seriously, Adelaide is just waiting for this now.
Yeah.
We're all back from our holidays. Everyone's back in work mode.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, what's next? And we know for a fact Adelaide
Yeah.
Fringe is gonna just be bombastic all over again. And based on
Yeah.
the weather we're getting in Adelaide at the moment, we're gonna give everybody a bloody good treat. It's
It's
gonna be
so
amazing.
great. It's such an outdoor city at this time of year.
Oh,
So easy to get around to see things and the stuff happening in the streets. I love it. Really love it.
true, true, true. Kate, let's talk about your shows because that's why we're here. You've got 2
Yeah,
shows. You got one, Plenty of Fish in the Sea, and The End of Winter.
correct.
I want to know everything about the 2 of them. Let's talk
Okay.
about the first one first, Plenty of Fish in the Sea, which is running from the 27th of February to the 3rd of March. So there's 6 dates there, everyone. And they're both going to be playing at the Courtyard of Curiosities at the Migration Museum, which is an incredible venue. I love it there. Let's talk about Plenty of Fish in the Sea, please.
Okay. Plenty of Fish in the Sea is a 45-minute physical theatre production. So it's created by 3 artists from Sydney called Clockfire Theatre Company. They're all Lecoq trained artists. People will know what that is, or they won't, but which is a European style of theatre making, but it's done with a very Australian twist. So there's very little text in it. It's all devised. This is a kind of a fantasy story about a man who is lost at sea and is taken into a medieval mansion by a nun who speaks a little bit of French and her assistant Bernadette, who speaks no English at all. And he is, I guess, on some sort of quest. Now, the start of this show, the genesis of this show was talking about dating apps. And then that's where the title came from. People say there's plenty of fish in the sea. There's always somebody for you. So they've extrapolated that idea and what it's like to go fishing into this absurdist fantasy, which gets pretty raunchy at times, actually. So probably one for the 14 pluses. But as I say, there's no text, nothing's really explicit, but it's all about sort of desire and identity and what people do to hook up. And it's all around fishing metaphors, but it's really magical. It's not literal. It's not kind of straight theatre. It's not comedy. It's none of those things. This sort of work is quite unique in Australia. And I think it fits the Fringe Festival model really nicely.
Have you performed in the Migration Museum before? Do you know that venue?
No, I haven't even been in there because I'm from Sydney, but I have a lovely plan of it. And the gorgeous people at Migration Museum have made our stage a little larger, specifically for Plenty of Fish in the Sea, because being physical theatre, we have to be able to move. So what the cast are doing now, while I'm talking to you, is they're in the rehearsal studio, shrinking it down to the small space. But I think it's actually going to make the show better because
Oh,
it's going to be really visually really tight.
yeah.
And I really like that as an audience member. And I said to them, like when you go in and pull apart a show and have to put it back together again, that's the beauty of doing this because you find out what's at the core of it and what's really making it work. So it's really a great opportunity for us. And we come to Adelaide as part of a program called Made in Sydney. So Plenty of Fish in the Sea scooped the pull at the Sydney Fringe Awards, Best in Theatre, Best in Physical and Circus, and the Festival Directors Award. And part of that was to be part of the Adelaide Fringe program at the Migration Museum. So that's great for us. We love it.
Congratulations. That's so
Yeah.
good. So the End of Winter is your second show. That is running exactly the same time,
Yeah.
at the 27th of February to the
Yeah.
3rd of March. Clearly, it's going to be on different time slots.
It plays at 6:10. Yeah.
So for everyone watching, you will find Kate's 2 shows, Plenty of Fish in the Sea and The End of Winter, in the Fringe program, which is everywhere. You'll find the 2 shows in the theatre and physical theatre section. It's a very thick program
It's-
because it's got every single show in it, not just Gluttony's, not just Garden of Unearthly Delights, everyone's. So there's a lot to go through. But if you stick with me, you'll find the first one, which is the Plenty of Fish, on page 145. Oh, it's almost a telephone directory.
It is. It's like an old-fashioned thing.
Look, I mean, do you remember those, Kate? We're not that
I
old.
remember the telephone directory. Don't you worry.
Those days. Remember when you were driving somewhere and you were like, oh my God, I'm going to be late. I need to phone them. And you actually had to stop your, well, first of all, you had to try and find a telephone box, stop your car. It was
Get some coins out. Coins. Who had coins?
Oh, please. Anyway, back to the
How do we
subject.
manage? Yeah.
The end of winter, you'll find on page 149, sitting right there as well.
Beautiful.
To go through. So Kate's got some amazing treats in store for us. So yes, the end of winter runs the same dates, 27th of February, 3rd of March, but a different time slot. Kate, can you please tell us about the end of winter?
The end of winter is, I think, at 6:10, so it's a really early show. You catch that before you go and see something else. This is more your serious theatre lovers work. It's 55 minutes of quite dense text. It's a monologue, or our writer tends to call it a performance essay. So it's quite a different sort of theatre again. But the piece itself has a climate change message, and our set is a sinking house. And over the 55 minutes, our speaker, Jane Fegan, who's our award-winning actress playing this role, goes on a journey as she explores the notion of season loss. Now, imagine the temperatures that are happening in Australia now. We're actually experiencing this kind of diversity in our lifetime, which is pretty scary. Noelle Yanichevska, who wrote the play, wrote it in the wake of the 2019 bushfires that were raging across the eastern seaboard. And she really started to contemplate the loss of seasons. And the season that we will probably lose is winter. Now, she reflects on life in the Northern Hemisphere, which has quite a different sort of climate to us, but also has different, a lot of the pictures that we have of winter come from the Northern Hemisphere. The snow, the snuggly warm fires, things are a little bit foreign to us in Australia, but we still have an idea of a winter season. And so then she starts to talk about the colder places in the world, for example, above the Arctic Circle or indeed Antarctica. And it kind of spins off into some fairly sort of feminist, post-cultural themes about identity, I guess, the subjugation of women, and that those stories aren't retold. There were female explorers, there are female scientists. So it's all of those things wrapped up in a really heartbreaking story of her mother's death. And so I guess that then reflects a theme of legacy, like when we disappear, what do we leave behind? And that kind of links the abstract idea of seasonal change to something very personal. It's extremely poignant, but it's not negative. The playwright's quite positive about our sort of domination as a species, or we're great survivors, but so is a lot of the other species on Earth. The plants, for example, will regenerate if they're allowed to. So it sort of leaves on that note. I mean, I think it's great for people who love books, book readers, older people. This is one for older people. It's a very female story. And people who are really interested in starting conversations about climate change, climate versus the weather. And that's attracted a lot of young people to this show, because those are the people who are really going to have to deal with this. And plus the last show we did, we had heaps of Greens Party members there too. So they love this one as well. So this is more on the serious end of the scale, and Plenty of Fish on the Sea is a more humorous, more theatrical, adventurous piece, but they both play concurrently at the Migration Museum.
They sound both completely worthy. Absolutely. So get out and get tickets, everybody.
Yeah.
Why do you love coming to the Adelaide Fringe? What is it? What's the energy for you about?
Look, I think it's being in a city, a beautiful city like Adelaide, with like minds. I mean, like everybody you meet walking down the street, or if you walk into a venue or a bar, they're all going to be people who love theatre or have some connection to theatre, whether as an audience or a maker. And it's really great to be in your tribe, and then you can find your little sub-tribes as well. And it feels like you're on this kind of like experiment, like a crazy sort of experiment where you can just like live and breathe what you love, 24 hours a day for the time that you're there. But also around all of that, you know, there's often critical discussions. There's a sort of a real critical network of people there. You get to meet people that you may have only heard of, or stuff you've only read about on the web. I love seeing shows. So, you know, bring me the brochure. I just start ticking shows. Yeah. So that's why I love being in Adelaide. Plus, it's a beautiful city. And I know the art gallery has fantastic air conditioning for when it gets really hot.
I know they do. They do.
I
I
go there a lot.
meet you there for a coffee if it's one of those
Yeah,
days. All
for
right.
sure.
I don't do my
For
day
sure.
without a coffee, even if it's 50 degrees.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know.
Speaking of the program, let's get back to that for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you've got a lot of friends in the industry. You know a lot of people. You've been doing a lot of stuff. Give me a hot pick of another show that you might
I'll
want to
give you a hot pick.
suggest.
This is not an Aussie show. This show's from England. It's called Helios. It's playing at the Yurt at the Courtyard of Curiosities, same venue. It's by Wright and Granger, but this is just a story told by one of those guys with music. I saw it in Edinburgh last year. It's really extraordinary. They take a Greek myth and they make it into a modern day story. And the way that he does it is it's just exquisite storytelling. It's really the essence of theatre. Like, we literally sit in a circle and hear him tell this story. And that's really the essence of theatre for me. So that's one of my top picks. And also in the Yurt, if you've never seen Werewolves, take your kids, take your grandmother, go. It is just awesome. I love that one. Yeah.
Nick is outstanding.
Yeah.
Nick.
Brilliant.
And
Yeah.
that big black fur coat that he wears.
And the moustache. I went, oh, when I first spoke to him on the phone, I went, oh, you're the man with the moustache.
I adore that man. He's such
Yeah.
a creative talent, and he's an incredible painter as well. Oh my God,
I didn't know that.
look at us plugging him as well.
Yeah,
shit the love.
plug in.
Hey, darling, you are an absolute joy to talk to, Kate Gaul.
My pleasure.
And I wish you all the best for an incredible season with plenty of fish in the sea and the end of winter. And have a great, happy 2024 Adelaide Fringe.
See you there. No worries.
Thank you.
Bye. See you
Bye.
soon.